In with a real boxer, real world champion boxer. That the only other time he was fit for the fence to get mad with that was against Fury's Tommy Fury, but it wasn't that level, obviously, and all the size things you just rightfully pointed out. But he would have been in there with, I mean, it seemed crazy.
Gervonta. Tank Davis has stunned the boxing world with a dramatic new physique ahead of his highly anticipated showdown with Jake Paul. Known for his explosive speed and compact power, Davis has clearly pushed his training to extreme levels, packing on visible muscle mass that has fans and analysts buzzing. Recent gym footage reveals a thicker, more imposing Tank, sparking speculation that he's bulking up deliberately to offset Paul's significant size and strength advantage.
You were yelling so much about him fighting someone, fight somebody your size. His next opponent is, by far, the most credentialed guy ever fought actively in his prime. There's one problem. He fights at 135 pounds. He fights at 135.
In preparation for the Jake Paul fight, Davis has reportedly transformed his training camp into a battlefield of intensity and discipline. His workouts now blend brutal strength conditioning, high-volume resistance training, and non-stop cardio to sustain his added weight. Sources close to the camp reveal that Tank has been performing heavy compound lifts, such as deadlifts, squats, and bench presses, to build functional mass in his core and upper body. Yet he continues to drill speed, precision, and footwork relentlessly to keep his signature explosiveness intact. To adapt to bigger opponents, Davis has also been sparring against naturally larger fighters, some close to heavyweight size, to simulate the physical demands of facing a much bigger Jake Paul.
Yeah. This Santa Cruz I hit the deck. Yeah, let it burn, baby, let it burn. Oh.
Mind over matter, son. Mind over matter.
This is the blues I'm
Ain't nobody doing no shit like this. Come in the desert. Nigga trying to stay away from the desert. He come in the desert.
when the night
Camera on here.
Like camera action.
Like action. Camera.
Come on, Tank. Come on, Tank. Come out. Come out, Tank. Come on, let me kiss you. Dig down in there. Dig down in there. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Remember that gun on it? They got that gun on that tank. They go, time.
when the night is cold and low.
He ain't gonna keep you here late tonight. Good job.
It's been hard being away from my daughter. She actually here, she sleep. Just being away from her, it was a little touchy, but I know when I'm up, up against. I know that I got pay-per-view. I know I'm fighting a tough opponent, so really I know how to lock in. I know how to shy away from everything. I know how to, I know how to fool around.
I said,
Nah, don't do that. I can't go on TV looking like that.
Still, the size disparity remains staggering. The fight's rules reportedly allow a maximum weight of 195 pounds with 12-ounce gloves, a number far beyond Davis's natural fighting weight of 135 pounds. The jump in weight has raised alarm among boxing analysts who worry that Tank's attempt to pack on muscle could slow him down and dull his trademark agility. His speed, accuracy, and explosiveness, the very elements that define his fighting style, could be compromised under the pressure of extra mass. Critics argue that in trying to meet Paul's size, Davis may risk losing the essence of what makes him elite.
Jake Paul Tank Davis fight got moved to Miami.
I think Jake wins.
Jake's just so big, dude.
I think Jake wins.
This is different because it's similar. It's similar to Logan versus Mayweather, but Jake Paul now obviously is way more advanced than where Logan was at that moment in time.
I mean, it's just fucking sick.
I mean, yeah, no, but dude, Jake.
You ever watch his highlights?
Jake can crack, man.
He's so sick. I love that guy, bro.
Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. You have the Paul brothers and they come over to boxing. Their idea from day one is we don't have the skills or the experience. What we're gonna do is we'll take on the absolute best guys, but they're gonna spot us some pound. Tank has one job to do, that it doesn't make any difference, that boxing is a real sport. My skills versus your skill, of which I am an abundance of and of which you have none of. Tank is telling anybody that will listen that there's a size problem. My skills and my experience in boxing, I do not have to wonder who's in the bar tonight. Any bar I go to, I rule the bar. No, it turns out that you don't. Just need some big guy to corner you, apparently. Boxing has never stood its ground. Boxing has never been able to explain why Floyd needed a half hour to get rid of a guy who's never boxed before. Tank Davis has already began this. When you choose a dum-dum, don't be surprised when he goes out and acts like a dum-dum.
UFC President Dana White didn't hold back his opinion on the matchup. He admitted that fan excitement for the fight is low, but acknowledged it could still be beneficial for Davis, especially after a stretch of personal and professional setbacks. According to White, the bout might serve as a comeback opportunity, both financially and publicly, for Tank, who's had a turbulent year outside the ring. White emphasized, however, that Jake Paul's natural size, reach, and raw power would pose serious problems. He described Paul's likely strategy as one of physical domination, leaning, clinching, and smothering Tank's offense with his bulk. While White respects Davis's technical skill, he believes the weight difference turns this from a fair fight into a survival test.
Is picking Jake Paul to beat Gervonta Davis. This is not a fight that I'm excited for at all. I would rather have Gervonta Davis fighting in a real boxing match against the likes of Lamont Roach, Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, Emmanuel Navarrete, anybody that is in the 135-pound division and around. That's who I want to see Gervonta Davis fight. However, we live in a world where everybody is trying to do things as big as possible. And the biggest fights possible right now, unfortunately for the sport of boxing, is an exhibition fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. So, I do like it for this reason, though. I like it because it is allowing Gervonta Davis to have a fight that is going to be big and that the mainstream media is going to have to cover, the mainstream media outside the world of boxing. Gervonta Davis has been, without a doubt, blocked, having venues blocked, having fighters, having other promoters paying fighters away to go different directions from Gervonta Davis. So Gervonta Davis was in a bit of a hole. And he gets an opportunity to fight Jake Paul for $200 million or whatever. I don't mind it at all. As long as Gervonta Davis comes back to the world of boxing after he gets done with this, hey man, you got your money, no worries. But you gotta love Dana White having the audacity to pick Jake Paul in this fight and says something to the effect that, hey, he was talking to Logan Paul and said, hey, when you were fighting Floyd, you know, there was this, you're a gigantic guy, big size difference. There was a time when Floyd Mayweather Jr. had an overhand right that landed flush on Jake Paul.
Former UFC fighter and bare-knuckle brawler Mike Perry was even harsher. He slammed Davis for what he called a cash grab fight, accusing him of chasing fame and money instead of legacy. Perry questioned whether Tank still possesses the same hunger that once made him a feared champion. In contrast, he praised Jake Paul's work ethic and commitment to constant improvement, claiming Paul might now be more driven than Davis himself. Perry's comments reignited debates among fans about Tank's motivation, whether he's still fighting for greatness or simply for paychecks.
He is big. Tank has a lot of skill, but I don't think he's the same Tank that we saw the most incredible knockouts. We saw him, Lamont Roach performed great. They went to draw, and, you know, I just don't know. And Tank walked away. I don't know if he loves it enough to beat a guy who outweighs him by 80 to 100 pounds.
During their intense face-off, fans noticed something rare. Davis looked uneasy, usually exuding calm dominance. He appeared tense, avoiding long eye contact and showing restrained body language. Observers speculated that the towering size difference between him and Jake Paul may have rattled his confidence. Standing across from Paul's 6'1" frame, Tank's 5'5" stature underscored the challenge ahead. Some fans defended his demeanor as quiet focus, while others saw it as the first visible crack in his mental armor.
He looked very uncomfortable facing off. He just did. I've seen other face-off this Tank done. He gets in their face and they're intense and he looks good. He looked very meager up there. You've had 8 fights and you're gonna go tangle with Tank Davis. And the story instantly comes out. Jake is so much bigger. There is such a compliment to Jake within that insult. It is meant to be an insult. It is meant to take away from a potentially glorious moment for Jake. But where the compliment comes is it means the public believes he's gonna win. That's what it means.
Veteran boxing trainer Teddy Atlas weighed in with trademark bluntness. He joked that Davis might need a ladder just to reach Jake's chin, highlighting how exaggerated the size gap truly is. Atlas drew comparisons to other weight class jumps in boxing history, like Canelo Alvarez moving up to fight Terrence Crawford, but noted that even those matchups were within reason. Against Paul, he argued, the physical mismatch is simply too extreme. Atlas labeled the fight a spectacle, not a sporting contest, suggesting it's driven by entertainment value rather than athletic integrity.
They should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract. But I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look. All kidding aside, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but you know, a little different. The size difference was, I mean, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping, and it made me think. And I'm gonna ask Richie, our man here, who's doing all the taping, who's done such a marvelous job. I'm gonna ask him because I know he's an expert in this area. But it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face, where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, AKA Thunderlips. He was Thunderlips back there. And I thought I had it right, and it was confirmed to me. It's Rocky 3.
Undefeated champion Shakur Stevenson echoed those sentiments, calling the rumored matchup terrible for the sport. He dismissed the fight as a financial stunt rather than a real competition, criticizing both men for prioritizing money over legacy. Stevenson warned that such mismatches damage boxing's reputation, turning it into more of a circus than a craft. He insisted that while Tank is a world-class fighter, the size difference alone strips the event of any true credibility.
Maybe he'll fight Jake Paul instead. What do you think of that?
I think that's terrible.
Why?
I mean, I get it, because at the end of the day, it's the money business, and you want to make the most money, but from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me, and if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah, I mean...
It's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Really?
Davis's longtime associate Leonard Ellerby shed light on another side of the story. revealing that Tank has been battling personal challenges outside the ring. According to Ellerbe, Davis lacked the mental focus and motivation to pursue the fight seriously at one point. The pressure, media scrutiny, and internal struggles had taken a toll on him. Walking away from certain opportunities, including a rumored training change with Freddie Roach, was Davis's way of protecting his peace. Ellerbe suggested that Tank's recent decisions reflect a fighter trying to find balance, not just another payday.
Ellerbe said, to tell you the truth, Gervonta Davis couldn't get up for Lamont Roach. And what does that mean? It means that he could not get inspired, that he was not motivated to fight Lamont Roach, that his mind was not in a place where it was like, yeah, okay, let's get it, and he was going to war with Lamont Roach. He was going through the motions with Lamont Roach during the training camp and could never really get himself motivated to really give the best of himself against Lamont Roach, and that probably affected him during training and during the fight. And that is something that can happen, especially if you really look back on what happened with the Lamont Roach fight and all of the ups and downs about that fight being made. Because first, if you recall, he wasn't supposed to be fighting Lamont Roach. The person he was supposed to be fighting was Vasily Lomachenko. You know, the guy that everybody says that he doesn't want to fight, that he didn't want to fight. Gervonta Davis was up and prepared to fight Vasily Lomachenko.
Jake Paul's boxing career continues to polarize audiences. Rather than chasing rankings or legitimate championship paths, Paul strategically selects opponents who generate viral hype. His fights, from retired MMA legends to undersized boxers like Davis, are designed to dominate headlines and social media feeds. Critics argue that Paul's approach blurs the line between sport and spectacle, prioritizing attention over authenticity. Still, the formula works. His physical advantages, height, reach, and sheer size allow him to appear imposing against smaller, more skilled opponents, giving every matchup a David versus Goliath drama that keeps fans talking.
Holy shit, Jake Paul versus Tank Davis is actually happening. What the f is going on? I guess Tank is going broke because that's the only justifiable reason you ruin your legacy against a guy like Jake Paul. And yes, I do think Jake Paul is going to win. Tank Davis is a much better boxer and has crazy power, but he's 5'5", 130. That power is not going to carry over against someone who is 6'1", 210. And it's not like Jake is bad. Yes, his fights are boring. He says he's going to step in the ring and sleep his opponents, but the only people who end up sleeping are the audience. Mike Tyson fight. But at the end of the day, he's a big guy with power who is training boxing full time, and he has beaten some legitimate competition. Woodley, Nate Diaz, Anderson Silva, Mike Perry had a competitive fight with Tommy Fury, but it's crazy how particular Jake has to be when selecting his opponents. They have to have enough clout to be interesting, enough skill to be taken seriously as a threat, but at the same time have clear weaknesses and disadvantages that Jake and his team can exploit to win. Now that he's fighting an elite boxer, he has to fight someone 7 weight classes down. I mean, Tank could win if he makes Jake do a very aggressive weight cut, but I just don't see that happening. I got Jake by 3rd round TKO. He should put me on the co-main event and allow me to fight Francis Ngannou. That would be an easy first round knockout for me.
MMA veteran Nate Diaz has openly dismissed the entire event, calling it a pay-per-view money circus. Diaz argued that modern boxing is losing its soul to profit-driven marketing, where real competition takes a back seat to entertainment. He refused to even predict a winner, claiming that fights like Paul versus Davis make it impossible to take the sport seriously anymore. Diaz warned that boxing risks turning into a business of illusions, where viral moments matter more than skill or honor.
I gotta ask you, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. Does Davis have a chance?
Gervonta is a great boxer, but he ain't gonna be.
So you got Jake Paul by knockout, or?
No, I don't got anybody, but I don't think.
He's just too small.
It's just. I don't want to beat up somebody that small. I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to lose to somebody that. There's no point in the fight. It's a great fight, actually. I'm not hating on the fight, but I think. My thoughts on it is let's watch it, see what happens.
Ryan Garcia said his boxing is turning into WWE.
Yeah,
with that type of matchup. What do you agree? Last thing, White House card, like you said, you want Conor McGregor.
Yeah, but the whole thing's on WWE, so it's like, at least that's happening and getting something to talk about, something to watch, and I'm looking forward to that fight.
Former UFC champion Michael Bisping joined the growing chorus of criticism, calling the potential matchup dangerous and absurd. He emphasized that Jake Paul, who walks around nearly 100 pounds heavier than Davis, is breaking the spirit of fair competition. Bisping compared this to Paul's earlier attempt to fight Mike Tyson, a 58-year-old legend far past his prime, arguing that these bouts prioritize profit over integrity. He lamented that today's headlines focus less on championship rivalries and more on freak show fights that blur the boundary between sport and spectacle. For Bisping and many others, the Davis-Paul idea represents boxing's ongoing identity crisis, where entertainment value often outweighs athletic honor.
Heavier. That is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word, whoa, 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 stop being such a bully, leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta Tank Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got 28 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" inches tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" inches tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5" inches, okay? They're smaller guys, you know, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers, yeah.
That's for today. Video subscribe for more.